sounds complicated, but it's really easy, and we've picked dishes that we can either prepare ahead of time or they can be cooking while our guests are here, so we're not having to spend too much time in the kitchen and we can spend more time out there socialising. So we're going to start off with a French aperitif wine, which will just stimulate the appetite, and it's a very classic French thing to do. We'll have some olives that people can nibble on with those. Then for entree, we're doing a classic French onion soup, and we'll also have some croutons. We'll cut some French baguette bread, roast some, grill some Swiss cheese over those. So that'll be a nice starter to get them on, and we can actually prepare that ahead of time and then warm it back up when our guests arrive and we're ready to do our entree. For main, we're going to do roast lamb with beans, and that's actually going to cook in the oven for about 3 hours, which will not only mean that we don't need to be doing a lot, the oven will be doing all of that when our guests are here, but it'll also have a lovely fragrance in the house for when people arrive. For dessert, we're doing a chocolate mousse, which we prepared last night, and it's actually Manu Fidel's recipe. So that was a very easy chocolate mousse. We've popped them into these individual little containers. I haven't filled them up because I know it's a very rich chocolate mousse, so I think that amount will be enough. And then we've made these Palmiers, which is butter puff pastry with some icing sugar on. We've rolled them up into a cigar-like roll, cut them into little 1 centimetre rounds, and then dusted them with some more icing sugar, rolled them out to flatten them, and then cooked them in the oven, and we get these great little pastries. So we've got these cute little chopping boards that we're going to serve them on like so, and that'll be a lovely little dessert for everyone. And then we'll have our cheese platter. Now there's a lot of discussion about do cheese platters come before dessert or after dessert. To be honest, it's probably more French to have them before dessert, but I know my guests will be used to having their dessert first, and then we can just finish off with the cheese platter as sort of some nibbles to see how we're going. So we are playing around a bit with our French inspiration there. But there's really easy dessert. So that's all done. That's just sitting in the fridge. We'll pop those in an airtight container. What I like to do when I'm preparing the menu is put together my run sheet and count back from when I want to serve each course. So I know when I want to serve my main course, and I need to know that I need 3 hours in the oven, I need half an hour for resting time, and I need about half an hour before that just to get the beans and the lamb prepared. So I need about 4 hours. So I'll count back from 8:30 when I want to serve main, so 4:30 I'll get started on that. And it just means that I've got my timings all ready. So that's that. Right, we're going to get started on the entree now. So what we're making, as I said, is a French onion soup, and this recipe is from the taste.com.au website. So we've got a nice heavy based pot here, which is some great French cookware, Emile Henry. I'm sure I've said that completely the wrong way, but and it's always great if you're having something like a French-inspired dinner party to actually use cookware from that country, because it gets you in the mood and all fired up, ready for your French flavours. So we've got 60 grams of chopped butter here. We're going to heat that on a medium to low heat with 2 tablespoons of oil in the cookware. Once that's sizzling, we're going to add 6 sliced onions. And we're going to cook that down for about 45 to 50 minutes over a medium to low heat until it's quite soft. We're then going to add some brown sugar and some flour and then some stock. So we're making this now in plenty of time for tonight so that it's ready, and then we can just warm it back up when our guests arrive. Okay, so we've got our onions just cooking down on the medium to low heat, and we just need to make sure we keep stirring those as we go. But while that's happening, we can get started with our main course, which is from the Jamie Oliver Does Spain, Italy, Sweden, Morocco, Greece and France. Obviously we're taking it from the French section, and it's roast bean with lamb. So what we need to do is preheat the oven to the full whack. So we'll get that going, and we'll get the lamb out of the fridge. Okay, so we've got our lamb out, and what we need to do is stab it all over with a knife. So we've got a leg of lamb on the bone here. Stab it all over with a knife, then rub it with some oil and some salt and some pepper. And then what we've done is sliced up 4 cloves of garlic, and we're going to stab, that sounds very harsh, doesn't it? We're going to poke those into the areas that we've stabbed it with the knife, and we're also going to pop some little bits of rosemary and thyme in there as well. So we'll get that started. While we get the next element on the stove. So I've got another good heavy based French baking dish here, which to that we're going to add 3 leeks that have been sliced about 2 centimetres thick diagonally, and also 2 onions that have been sliced. So we're going to pop that in there along with 6 cloves of garlic and a good lug of oil, and we're going to let a bit of salt and pepper, we're going to put that on a medium heat and cook for about 15 minutes or until the leeks and onions have softened. And sorry, I have to keep checking my recipe so I'm to make sure I'm telling you the right thing. So we'll pop that on now. We'll keep stirring our onions and let our lamb sit. The oven's cooking away, so we're okay. So our 2 dishes are going well over here. Our onions have become really soft. They've just got a few minutes to go. And our leeks and onion and garlic are going well over here too and softening. So what we're going to do now is add 2 teaspoons of brown sugar to our onion soup mix, and we're going to stir that for about 10 minutes until that becomes caramelised. While that's happening, we're going to add to our leek and onion mixture. We've got 4 tins of these French beans. Now, if you have trouble finding these, just have a look. Your local specialist or gourmet grocer should have those. So we've got 4 tins of those. We've made a garni of a bunch of flat leaf parsley, some thyme and some bay leaf. And we've got some stock. So we're going to add the beans, the stock, the garni, everything into our tray here. And we're going to then put that in the oven on the bottom tray. And we're going to put the lamb directly onto the oven rack on the top tray above it. So the juices from the lamb will go into the beans, which will be delicious. And we're going to cook it to a sticky pull apart sort of meat. So we'll turn the oven down to 160, pop that in for about 3 hours. Once that's cooked, we'll let it rest on a board for about half an hour, and while that's resting, the tray of leeks and beans and everything, we'll turn off the heat of the oven but just leave them in there covered. So so easy because it'll just be cooking away while your guests are here. So we'll get started. Okay, so our soup is cooking away nicely. We've added some stock and water to that. So we're just going to bring that to a simmer for about 15 minutes, and then we can just cool it down and reheat it when our guests arrive. We've put our lamb in the oven, straight onto the oven tray, and below it we've put our baking dish with leeks and onions and beans, so all the juice will drip down that from the lamb, and that's in there for about 3 to 3.5 hours. So now we can tidy up, get ready for our guests to arrive. We've got a wonderful French playlist which we've downloaded of French dinner music, which should be nice when the guests arrive. One tip I have when you're cooking in the kitchen for a dinner party, and you often spend a lot of time standing on a hard floor, this is very unglamorous, but I often cook in my runners because they have good arch support, and your back will thank you the next day when you don't have terrible back pain. So that's one of my tips for the dinner party. So we're going to tidy up here. I'm going to get ready and get rid of this bird's nest that I can feel appearing on my head with my hair. Get ready, finalise the table, and we're ready for our guests to arrive. So thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to watch all our other videos on the Party Hour channel. You can also follow us on Instagram. We're called The Party Hour, all one word. But sit back, relax, enjoy the rest of our dinner party, and we look forward to seeing you again.